Hi everybody, thanks for sticking around on Friday afternoon. I'm John Cahill, I'm CEO of Open Wager. Just want to talk a little bit about the company and tell you what we're doing in the space and how it pertains to people who are thinking about getting into social casino. So I'm CEO of Open Wager. The company is about 18 months old, based in San Francisco, founded in mid-2013, and we set out to build the best white label B2B social casino around. We looked at the social casino space, and myself and my team are all a bunch of game developers who've been in the industry for 20 plus years. And we thought we were a little bit late on the B2C approach, but we saw an opportunity where the market keeps growing, and we saw an opportunity to build a best-of-breed platform, build a multiplayer social platform, and then build a set of studios on top of that, and produce a set of really good slots, table, social casino games, but then market that and tailor it towards big brands that want to get into social casino but don't have the internal resources to get there. So the company grew from, this time last year, I think we had about 10 people, and now we've got somewhere around 62 or 63. The structure where the head office is San Francisco, but we've got an engineering team in Bucharest and 3 game studios now in Budapest. So growing quite fast. And looking at our 3 most recent product launches, the first one here is Bingo. We launched a Bingo game with USA Today, and USA Today is the biggest US newspaper. It has an online readership of about 35 million uniques per month, and it's a market that is totally underserved by games. So we built a game that was tailored to their audience, tailored to their demographic, and then launched that in conjunction with their marketing team. So effectively we're funneling some of their audience into the Bingo game. Second project there is Spintopia. That was a project where, working with Casinos Austria, we took some of their Rabcat games. They have excellent slots games that work very well in the for money market. We took a set of those games, we migrated them to mobile first and also Facebook, and then we took those games, wrapped them in a social infrastructure, and have now launched them free to play. So it's a good example of for money games moving away from the casino floor and into mobile free to play. And then lastly, we just launched a product a couple of weeks ago with B-Sky-B in the UK. And we call it Sky Hollywood Slots. Again, it's a set of unique IP that we built, wrapped in a social infrastructure, tailored and built for the Sky core demographic. And Sky, of course, is the dominant media company across Northern Europe, about 38 million subscribers in the UK alone. So really, when I look at social casino, I see it as the best of all worlds for game development. It's free-to-play casino games. It's a fun experience, and the more social you make it, the more you allow people to play with their friends, the more fun it becomes. We built everything to be cross-platform. We built it mobile first, particularly focusing on iOS, also on Android, and then Facebook, and we even have some customers who want to take the games and put them into their own website. Because of the way the monetization works, we're convinced that the more people that play it, the more entertaining it is, the more the retention is there, and of course the more monetization. And from a deal perspective, when we talk to real money casinos, because we're not regulated, there's opportunities to do lots of things that they can't do in a regulated world. If you look at the social casino market, it's still growing like a weed, and it's going to grow for the next 5 years or so there's lots of time to get into it from a game development perspective. It's going to grow to about 4.5 billion by 2017. The market leaders are producing between $3 and $6 per monthly active user. That's growing steadily. You're looking at ARPDAUs that 3 or 4 years ago were 20 cents per daily active user. Now for the market leaders, they're 45 to 50 cents, and that trend continues to grow. So we're seeing more people convert to paying. We're seeing them paying more per month, and overall we're seeing the audience grow as well. Up to this point, most of the growth has been in the US and in Europe, but we're seeing Asia come on strong now, and in fact last quarter, for the first time ever, we see companies like Tencent with their Fight the Landlord poker game doing more than 10 million per quarter. The growth has also been driven by mobile, where I think the average time someone spends on their phone now is about 150 minutes a day, and a good chunk of that 150 minutes is spent playing games, chatting with your friends, or ideally both chatting and playing games at the same time. Looking forward, the social casino market is going to grow by about 9% a quarter for the next few years. So it's going to be somewhere around 30 to 35% a year. And you can see the split up here. You can see that Facebook continues to grow, but overall it's down to about 40% of the social casino market, and it's dropping by about 5% a quarter. So the growth really has been driven by smartphone penetration and tablets, and that trend is going to continue for the next several years. So when we look at the state of the market, I see companies fighting, competing, looking for eyeballs, and in many ways you have the people here who are building games B2C who are competing for new users, but every time they take a user, somebody else, like a media company, is losing that user. So acquisition costs continue to go up, and people who have a substantial audience are looking for ways to monetize their users and retain their audience. The bigger media companies have a folk memory of making money from games. They used to make a lot of money in web-based and downloadable games, and that all got eliminated by Facebook and the trend to mobile. But they look at social casino now and they see a way to recapture part of that market. Secondly, the bigger media companies are aware that people are playing social casino games, and if they're not playing on their games, they're playing somewhere else. So there's a huge potential revenue line of business for building a new set of games, but there's also a marketing downside where if someone's playing the games on somebody else's site, they could lose them forever. So when we talk to media companies, the first objective that they usually have is maximizing their current audience, retaining their current audience. They've paid a lot to buy their audience, whether it's a TV company or whether it's a newspaper or a media company. They want to keep that audience. And secondly, from a revenue perspective, they want to grow a line of business. When they talk to us, we say that we'll offer them a complete media gaming experience. We'll build something that drops onto their network, that integrates with their existing login if they have one, integrates with their marketing if they've got an outbound marketing group, and extends their brand presence. And from a gamer perspective, we see gamers as looking for best-of-breed slots games. They've played the older HTML5, or they've played the older Facebook-type slots games, but as their phones get more sophisticated, and as they, as gamers, get more sophisticated, they're looking for a richer experience. They're looking for something that's 3D. Ideally, it would have a metagame story. Ideally, it'd be branded with a familiar brand that they recognize every day. Ideally, it'd be with their friends, it'd be an integrated experience, and it would hook into whatever social network they use. So here's an example where we built a slots game for Sky. We built a metagame story around it where you have a character called Sid Sharkey, and he takes you around Hollywood when you get off the bus. And you start off as an extra, you work your way up to being a studio head. And you're playing slots games at each level as you do this, and you make progress on a map, and you can see how you're doing on the map, and you can see your friends' progress as well. And your friends can help you by gifting you or unlocking levels for you. So it's by no means a new thing for a casual or social game player, but for many social slots player, it's brand new. It's the Candy Crush type metaphor, but applied to social casino. Similarly, here's one of our games. It's a slots game, but it's slots game combined with hidden object, where as you play the slots game, when you unlock a bonus level, your bonus level allows you to explore a mansion and using a time-based round, find things in the mansion. Again, classic hidden object, but again, it's new to combine that with a slots game. So what we're trying to do here is take the tried and tested mechanics that we see in social and casual and combine those with slots, so you get a casino mechanic combined with a different casual game mechanic combined with outreach to a social network. And the combination of all those things makes for a better game. But stepping back for a second, when you talk to the media companies, they have actually pretty high requirements. They want somebody to come in and give them a social casino in a box that drops onto their network. They're looking for a full set of branded, relevant games. A lot of the time, they're looking for games that are unique to them and exclusive to them. The games have to be matched to the audience. They're also looking for a short time to market, sometimes ridiculously short. And ideally, those games will be tied to a reward recognition system. So really, you're looking at a social casino as a service that drops onto their existing infrastructure and tightly integrates with their technology and with their marketing. And usually they don't want to pay for it, yeah. So in addition to that, they're looking for help on the marketing side, where they want a product that works, that's technically brilliant, where the games look really nice, but in addition, they want marketing help, where we will help them with user acquisition consulting. We will show them how to acquire traffic on the open market. We show them how they can optimize their ads for Facebook. We'll hook them up with traffic generation companies, audience management companies, and in cases where there's a reward system, we'll integrate with their rewards fulfillment system. And then, once the product is launched, we tend to do all of the live ops and first-line customer support. And additionally to that, then, we will take the data we collect, which is a massive amount of daily data, we'll export that to their data warehouse and help them design and build a CRM tool to analyze it. So it's quite a comprehensive, enterprise-level product. And at one level, it's a set of games. At one level, it's a giant piece of multiplayer middleware. And then at the back end, it's all analytics tying to a data warehouse hooked into a media company brand. Again, here's an example where we talked to USA Today. We analyzed their demographic. We decided that based on the age of their audience and the usage patterns of their audience, the best game to build would be a bingo game because their demographic overlapped completely. So we built the game in conjunction with the USA Today product team and then successfully launched that to the audience. And what we're doing now in a version 1.1 is we're taking news feeds from USA Today and dropping those into the game. So when someone's in the game, they'll preserve their context of being with the USA Today property. They'll get breaking news, they'll get headlines, they'll get sports, and they'll be able to share that with their friends inside the game. Similarly with BSkyB, we analyzed their audience, we talked to their product teams, and the overwhelming direction we got from them is that their audience was ideal for social slots. So we built a set of social slots games that overlapped completely with the audience demo. We put the Sky brand into the game, and now we're hooking it back into different media properties that Sky has, including some of their game show TV stations like Sky Challenge. So if you do it properly, you get a growth engine where the social casino set of games starts to, first of all, impress the marketing people inside the big media company, but also starts to build revenue and keep the P&L owner happy. You have to tie it to the brand, you have to tie it to user identity, you have to make it advertiser friendly, because even though we don't do ads right now, there's an immediate requirement going forward to start putting ads into some of our games. You have to make it social network friendly, you have to integrate with rewards and loyalty systems, and you have to make it super scalable, because some of these companies can go from having no traffic on social games to having a couple 100,000 in the space of 24 hours. The results so far, it's early days for us. We have product that's out there for less than 3 months, but already we can see a situation where combining across our customers, we're going from 0 to several million run rate immediately. The revenue and monetization, interestingly, is above the industry average. We're seeing fairly deep game engagement. We're seeing secondary retention of 40 to 50%. And from a virality perspective, for every user we buy, we're seeing roughly 2 more. So it's about 30% virality. And that's based on brand awareness. So the average revenue per daily active user so far for bingo is in the 10 to 15 cent range, which is slightly above average. For slots, it's in the 17 cent plus. We've had days where it's been as high as 40. But we're in a tuning process where we're starting to tune our games, and it'll probably take us 3 months to tune them properly. So what have we learned? So, going into this, we had a team of game developers who hadn't done social casino. And, 18 months later, I think we've learned some difficult lessons. First of all, social casino games are hard. Slots games are difficult to get right. And when you look at it from the outside, it looks like a fairly simple game development task, but every part of it is very important. The art is vital, the math model is hugely vital. And again, the games that we have now are so different and so much better than the games we had 18 months ago. Secondly, brand sensitivity is really important. How you build a brand into a set of games like this is vital from the large corporate viewpoint. Then on the platform side, we took an approach of investing heavily in a social and multiplayer platform, and probably spending 9 months just doing platform build out before we built a single slots game. And that's paying off now, because what we're seeing is as the complexity of games increases, more of the value is shifting to the platform. And we're already seeing a situation where as we start to roll out deeper features like tournaments or like the ability to help somebody unlock a bonus game, the platform has tremendous value. Thirdly, on the content side, you have to get a cadence of game development where you're producing a new game per partner every 3 or 4 weeks, and that's hard. So we're mixing in deep slots games that might take us 3 months to build, along with seasonal slots games like Valentine's Day, 4th of July, Chinese New Year, and so on. And you can set up a programming calendar where the mixture of low-cost games and premium games is good enough to keep people retained and engaged. And then we're also mixing in third-party IP, where we're dealing with brands that have great slots games, and we're moving those brands from machines on the casino floor into social and cutting deals with the IP owners. And lastly, from a social feature integration perspective, the way you add social into these games has to be relevant to the audience. What we found is that some people are happy to play social slots games and tell all of their 1,000 friends on Facebook. Some people want to keep that completely separate and only tell their slots playing friends. So we ended up building our own shadow social network where you can select which group of friends you want to advertise your slots play to. And from a developer perspective, it's B2B, so it's harder than B2C, and your customers can take up all of your time and all of your money. So you've got to be very, very careful and pick your customers, because doing a small rollout is just as difficult as doing a large one. It might be obvious, but you have to focus on building great games. If the games aren't fun, nobody will play them. So you have to invest heavily in the graphical part as well as the math model, and tailor the games to the demo as much as possible. Additionally, you've got to talk and spend a lot of time with the marketing group in the large media companies, figure out what's most important to them in terms of brand recognition and brand retention, and build the game appropriately. And lastly, invest time in the partner marketing plan. A lot of the time, games user acquisition, games monetization is a totally new area. So you have to go deep on explaining how it all works, explaining that it's not going to happen overnight. It might take 3 to 6 months, and build a plan both for UA and for revenue, and then roll it out and hit your metrics and hit your milestones month on month. And eventually, as you build that confidence and as you build that line of revenue, good things happen. What we found is that marketing inside a large organization, there's always a group of people in marketing who are sitting on a goldmine of customer data, and that goldmine of customer data thus far hasn't been relevant to games. But if you can find those people, and if you can work with them and then isolate the segment of the audience that are going to play games and, more importantly, spend money on games, you unlock this huge line of revenue. So you get to the point where you build the games, you deal with the deep marketing folks, you roll it out, and it turns into a win-win for everybody. That's what I got. Any questions?
I have. Where did I put my questions? Well, I'll just go off the top of my head. There are a number of people that are doing B2B, right? And their approach to B2B, not many doing B2B, because it's tough. But their approach has been complete mass market, and you're offering more of a bespoke with the games, custom games. How do you manage? Because you also put up there that you need that stable of content. So how do you manage between what you use across the customers and what you build bespoke for them?
So we have an approach where we have a core product and engineering team that build platform features and build templated applications and templated games. And when we sign a client, we assign a new product team and client-side engineering to build a specific application and a specific set of games. But it's inside a framework that the platform team have developed. So we can build a custom application and a set of games in a fairly short amount of time.
So are they all different games? Are they all bespoke, or are they?
Thus far, they are all bespoke. Now, we'll hopefully get to the point where we've got a network effect and the 4th of July game will appear on 4 or 5 different social casinos. But we're not yet there.
And then the concept of bringing third-party games, like in one of the panels earlier today, they were in the real money gaming panels, they said, most of the real money gaming slot providers won't provide their games, but a couple are.
Right.
So what have you thought about bringing third-party content onto the network?
Yeah, so we are in discussions with a set of third-party game providers, and I expect that as we start to get momentum, some of those providers will give us their games and we'll put them onto the network. And our games are built for the most part in Unity or in HTML5, and we've built a set of technologies that will migrate a game from a LAN-based machine into Unity or HTML5. And that's work we're willing to do for the game provider.
And then also, I used to be the CFO of a company. We had 50 white labels, and we had Yahoo, Virgin, so we relied on their database as part of the mix. But also it helped when they did paid advertising with the people that you're working with, your partners so far. Are you sort of demanding that they have a minimum marketing spend so you're not completely dependent on their database? How do you manage you know,
So
their
USA Today
database.
is a great
Okay.
example of that, where they have a funnel of traffic every day. And what we're doing with them is that we have a strategy where we're buying traffic on Facebook. And what seems to be happening is that for every user we buy from Facebook, there's a equivalent 2 to 1. And that's
Two to one viral page?
2 to 1 viral. Yeah.
But and that's not even including their database.
That's not including their database, because they don't actually have personally identifiable data from most of their customers.
Wow.
It's a newspaper.
But are you going to go off the traffic of their website? Are they
Yes.
going to promote you on their website?
So they have a games and puzzle section on their game site, and we are promoted off that, and we're promoted off their crossword section. If you search for crosswords on Google, the first hit that comes back is USA Today. And up until our deal, that page wasn't monetized at all in any way.
Wow. And then so the paid traffic that's converting into also then viral, that's way higher than
It's way higher,
whatever-
and you know, stepping back to the previous session, what's interesting is that because the ads for the bingo game have the USA brand embedded in the ad, the click-through rate is really high, and the install rate is really high. And it's not that the creative is really good, it's because there's brand affinity for that brand.
Right.
And if you think about it from a media company perspective, if you end up making 5 to 10 cents a day from a bingo game, that rivals what they're making from a newspaper right now. So it's meaningful in terms of both revenue and retention.
It's interesting because it's such a big disparity, but what you hear about the virality rates of non-branded,
Yep. Yep.
the blended effective CPI is
It might not hold, but so far it's holding.
wow. Any other questions? Oh, don't be shy. Yeah, no, we have to get it for the video. It's for the video.
Where you can find the best quality users? I mean, when you have to acquire users to increase your
Yeah.
revenues, where is the best
Well, how do you
media
how do you
source?
define a quality user?
The revenues that you can generate by the user?
So we see people already who are coming into the product, and in their first or second day in the product, they'll spend $100 to $120. And what I'd like to think they're new users, they're not really. They're users that are coming from a established social casino, and they're finding these games and they're engaging with the games, and they're basically whales that are moving from somebody else's casino to our social casino. And it takes a lot of work to find those, and it's semi-random. But if you build up a large enough user base of people who are inviting their friends, you start to build a set of quality paying users. What we're hoping is that because of the brand affinity with the partners that we have, first of all, to some extent, it's an untapped audience. And secondly, it's an audience where they will tell their friends and invite their friends. And you know, I'd make the point that there are a lot of people playing social casino games, and if you're a large media company and you don't have a social casino, your audience are playing social casino games and spending money somewhere else. So even though you're late to the party, there's still time to go and build one.
Great, thank you.